I'm Martha Ainsworth. I'm chair of the Maryland Sierra Club's Zero Waste Team. We've worked many years on getting rid of styrofoam food containers. Now we've been working on plastic bags, and we're trying to promote a bottle bill.
And I'm Christopher Williams. I'm the president and CEO of the Anacostia Watershed Society. We've been working for 35 years to protect the Anacostia watershed and restore it in the District of Columbia and Montgomery and Prince George's counties in Maryland. On behalf of the Coalition for a Maryland Bottle Bill, welcome to this virtual rally. We are your moderators for tonight's event.
This evening, we're going to learn more about bottle bills, hear from the sponsors of the Maryland Beverage Container Recycling Refund and Litter Reduction Program, and hear from the stakeholders about the benefits of the bill.
Let's get a little housekeeping out of the way. Because we have such a large audience, we're doing this in webinar mode, so we're not able to have you all interact with us the way we otherwise might. And you're all out there in Zoom land, so feel free to rally and cheer from the comfort of your own home. In addition, there you go. In addition, you're welcome to ask questions in the Q&A feature. I'm not sure we'll be able to answer those tonight, but we'll do what we can to get those answered. And at the end of the rally, we're going to provide some resources for you so you can find some more information about everything that we've been talking about. At the end of the rally, we're going to have a special treat for you, at which time we're going to open up the rally and give everybody a chance to jump in for a group photo, which will take place after a little surprise we have for you at the end of the rally. So once things start to wind up at the end, don't leave, because that's going to be your opportunity to give 3 cheers for the bottle bill.
Chris, that slideshow at the beginning was amazing. I can't believe how many people were involved in picking up all the littered beverage containers and how long they've been doing it. They must be exhausted. Is this sustainable?
Well, the Anacostia Watershed Society, a lot of other groups around the state have been doing cleanups like that for a long time. We've cleaned up tons and tons of trash for many years. But it's not the answer. It's not the answer to this problem of trash and pollution in our rivers and in our public spaces. There are about 5.2 billion beverage containers sold in Maryland every year, and only about a quarter of those right now are captured by recycling. The rest, about 4 billion containers, end up in landfills, incinerators, or as litter across the landscape, like we saw in these pictures. We need to prevent these containers from getting into the environment in the first place. And tell us about this legislation we're going to talk about tonight that's going to do that. It's going to take a big step toward doing that.
Okay, I will. A bottle bill, also known as a beverage container deposit system, places a small deposit on the price of a beverage container, and you get your money back when you bring the empty container back for recycling. It's a proven, highly effective policy for preventing beverage container litter. Let me share with you a short video that shows how it works.
Deposit return systems are a great way to encourage people to recycle. They work by adding a small deposit when you buy a product. Then, when you return that product's packaging for recycling, you get your money back. Easy. It's as if you're buying the product but borrowing the packaging. Deposit return systems are already working in many countries around the world. Increasing recycling, raising the quality of recycled materials, and reducing the litter in our streets, rivers, oceans, and landfills. That's a big win for society and for our planet. Deposit return systems can be used to capture all kinds of recyclable waste, making sure that we keep valuable resources going round and round in the sustainable circular economy. Again and again and again and again.
When empty containers are worth money, fewer people litter, and the litter doesn't stay long in the environment. And there are 10 states and dozens of countries that already have had these programs, the earliest back in the 1970s. Chris, that was before we were born.
Yeah, if only that were true, Martha. That is fantastic. This would definitely help keep our roadsides, waterways, and beaches free of beverage containers and free up a lot of time of those volunteers to do other important things to preserve our environment.
Thanks to our state legislators, we have a Maryland bottle bill this year. The Beverage Container Recycling Refund and Litter Reduction Act. Give 3 cheers for that. We have here with us today Delegate Jen Terrassa from District 13 in Coward County, Delegate Mark Edelson, District 46 in Baltimore City, and Senator Ben Brooks, District 10 from Baltimore County. Senator Brooks, why don't you start out?
I certainly will, Martha. Thank you, and hi to everyone who's on. Yeah, I think this is going to be a great bill. You know, Senate Bill 642. And you know, when we talk about recycling and talk about this deposit, you know, let's look at it from the economical benefits. You know, a deposit system encourages recycling and reduces littering. You know, as consumers have an incentive to return containers for refunds rather than discarding them. You know, so that's a built-in incentive. I remember when I was a lad, and we used to get like we used to have to pay a deposit of 5 cents per bottle. And I would guarantee you could very seldom find a bottle tossed out somewhere because everybody was trying to collect them and get to go and get that deposit. From a resource perspective, you know, recycling beverage containers, you know, it conserves valuable resources, you know, such as, you know, aluminum, glass, plastics, you know, and that reduces the need for those virgin materials and the energy intensive production process that it would have to go through. And economically, it's a stimulus. You know, recycling programs can create jobs in collection, processing, and the recycling industries. You know, it contributes to the local economy, thus thereby fostering a more sustainable waste management infrastructure. You know, so these are all positive things that can come from this simple but very important bill. So if we're going to try to take beverage containers out of the waste stream, I think this is an ideal way of doing that, and making sure that we do our part to help make sure we have a cleaner and a much more cleaner, a cleaner and a greener environment. Yeah, yes, indeed. So
Thank you
yeah,
so
so
much.
we're very happy about introducing this bill on the Senate side. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Sure.
much. 3 cheers.
Okay.
How about Delegate Terrassa?
Thank you so much, Martha. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here and for your interest in these, both the Senate bill and House Bill 735. As Martha said, I'm Delegate Jen Terrassa, and I serve on the Environment and Transportation Committee, and I'm a member of the Environmental Subcommittee where this and other really important environmental legislation will be considered. I've always cared deeply about the environment, but I haven't always been focused on it legislatively. I worked a lot on housing and transportation, but since joining the Environment and Transportation Committee, I've become much more aware of the problem of plastic and the challenges in recycling. The amount of plastic is ever increasing, and the actual amount that is being recycled is so much less than I ever imagined. I'm really proud to sponsor this legislation again this year because it's truly the best way to address the problem of litter in our state. By passing this bill, Marylanders will keep 4 million bottles and cans off our roadsides, out of our waterways, and keep them out of the landfills and incinerators each year. The other great benefit of this bill is it will generate a cleaner stream of recycled material so that it can actually be recycled. I realize this program will be new for many Marylanders, and it might take a little getting used to, but so is our single stream, and we know that's not really working at this point. So we need change, of course, and thankfully, we don't have to come up with a brand new idea. We can just follow a proven system that works in 10 other states. And I've heard from lots of Marylanders who used to live in bottle bill states, and they tell me it was simple, easy, how clean things were in those areas. And you know, they even earned a little pocket money by collecting the deposits. So we need to do this here. I believe we've drafted the legislation. The way we've done it is allows the program to be implemented in a way that makes sense for consumers, retailers, and producers. And I'm even more convinced that this bill is necessary after my hearing on my other environmental bill, the post-consumer recycled content bill. Opponents of that bill claim, basically plastic producers, claim that plastic is recyclable, and many have stated goals for using post-consumer recycled material, but when we try to require it, they claim the material isn't available. They say there isn't enough clean feedstock to do this. And this bill is the answer to that. We can help them reach their goals by providing cleaner feedstock. It also helps glass and can manufacturers who want their containers back. This is why I'm incredibly proud and excited to be sponsoring this legislation. Again, thank you all for being here, and please be sure to reach out to all of your senators and delegates and talk to them about why this bill is so important to you. Thank you for your enthusiasm, and thank you for supporting House Bill 735.
Thanks, Delegate Terrassa. And now Delegate Edelson from
Thank you.
Baltimore.
Thank you so much, Martha. Sorry to cut you off. It's great to see you and Chris and Delegate Terrassa and Senator Brooks, and more importantly, the 158 folks who are joining us in tonight's Zoom call. That is an incredible turnout. It just shows how many people in Maryland care about legislation like this, care about moving our state forward in a positive way. And I just want to tell you how excited I am to be with you tonight and to be co-sponsoring this bill yet again with Delegate Terrassa. We took up the mantle a year ago and we plan to do it again. Previous iterations of this bill have been sponsored by legislators like then Delegate Brian Frosch, Delegate Brooke Learman, Senator Bill Ferguson. So this has a glittering history of folks that have sponsored it previously, and we are excited to get it over the finish line this year. But we can only do that with your support. So that is why tonight is so important. Senator Brooks and Delegate Terrassa told us so many important facts and figures as to why this legislation is critical. I'm just going to tell you, for me, the two main reasons why I'm so excited to be a part of this team. Number one is I represent District 46 in Baltimore City, and the entirety of my district essentially wraps around the waterfront in the city. So I'm so blessed to be able to represent a district that has so much waterfront space. But the challenge is we also see all of the pollution that's in our water all the time, and the current system that we have that isn't working. In addition, I represent incredible neighborhoods like Cherry Hill, Westport, Lakeland, Brooklyn, Mount Winans, Curtis Bay, that have also unfortunately seen the detriments of our poor environmental policies to date and the lack of environmental justice that we have. And so that is another reason to me why this kind of legislation is so important for us, to make sure that we are taking care of our neighborhoods that are overburdened and underserved, and focusing on creating the best possible future for all of our neighbors. And number two is, just before I jumped on this Zoom tonight, I was doing bedtime and bath time with my 7-month-old son. And now I feel like everything I do is seeing the world through his eyes and making sure that we're doing everything we can to have a planet that is healthy and livable for him and all of his friends and his children and their children for many generations to come. So I'm so excited to be a part of this team. I really feel as though this is the year that we're going to do it. We made some little modifications to the bill to really focus on getting it over the finish line. It's an incredible team that we have. There's now 161 people here, so the support is literally growing by the minute. It is great to see you all. I'll turn it back over to Martha, but let's keep this energy throughout session and get this bill over the finish line.
Thank you very much, Delegate Edelson, and we're honored that you interrupted bath time to come and talk with us today. I know how important that is, having once had small children of my own. I want us all, I want you to know that everybody on this call, and actually the 300 plus people who expressed their support by registering to be here tonight, are very grateful to Senator Brooks, to Delegate Edelson, and Delegate Terrassa for championing this legislation and for being true champions for the environment in Maryland, in the state of Maryland. So thank you very much. Let's give them a thunderous rally round of applause. I want to hear everybody from all over the state, all 161 folks. Thank you so much. And now we're going to spend a little more time talking about getting a little bit about the specifics of the bill. We have a set of speakers lined up. I want to at first give it back to Martha. So she knows more about bottle recycling and beverage container recycling than she ever wanted to know. And she's going to share some of that knowledge with us right now, telling us in a little more detail how the bill works. So Martha, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Well, buy the beverage and borrow the container. It seems like a really simple thought, a really concept, and but there has to be a process for that to happen. 50 years we've had to learn more from these 10 states that have passed these bills and have them in effect, and we think we have a really good bill based on evidence. But there's a lot of background details here. I'm going to give you some of them. So here this is about the Maryland program. You heard about, the general principle from that video. So here in Maryland, a small refundable deposit is going to be added to the price of beverages in glass, plastic, and metal containers less than or equal to 3 liters. Now, for containers less than 24 fluid ounces, the deposit's 10 cents. And for those that are greater than 24 fluid ounces, they're going to be 15 cents. Next, deposits are refunded when the empty containers are returned for recycling. The most convenient place to redeem containers for consumers is at a retailer that sells beverages, and they're going to have many options. On the right, we have a reverse vending machine. It validates and counts the return containers. It provides a receipt for the refund the consumer can exchange in cash inside the store. On the left, we see a bag drop that sets up an account for the consumer with a unique barcode. The consumer can put a variety of empty beverage containers in a bag, that's over on the left, with their barcode, a sticker on it, put it in the hatch of the bag drop, which is usually in the retailer's parking lot, and get the refund placed in their account a few days later. They can get a receipt for the refund at a kiosk in the store and get their money back at the checkout. Now, restaurants, bars, and hotels and the hospitality industry will also pay the deposit when they purchase beverages. This is refunded when the empty containers are picked up by the system operator. Both the restaurants and the retailers would get a small per container handling fee for collecting and sorting the containers. So this is the program this is going to be implemented by a nonprofit stewardship organization, which is an organization that all producers selling beverages in beverage containers in the state have to belong to. The program must provide a variety of convenient options and for getting refunds, the deposits, among other requirements. The stewardship organization or its agents collect all the redeemed empty containers from the retailers and the restaurants that you saw in the previous slide. There's very strong oversight by the Maryland Department of Environment of this privately run nonprofit stewardship organization. There are a number of the things they have to approve: the selection of the stewardship organization. They have to approve the plan to get it running on the ground. The annual reports. The producers pay registration fees to the Department of the Environment to pay for their costs of oversight. They have an advisory council of stakeholders. A grant fund is provided in this program up to $5 million to encourage the reuse and recycling financed from some of the unredeemed deposits. What's really great in this tight budget year is this program is totally budget neutral. It pays for itself through the registration fees and stewardship organization fees paid by the producers and the revenue from sales of the raw materials and most of the unredeemed deposits. Similar programs have been operating in 10 U.S. states for decades, as I mentioned before. Finally, here we have the impact. We're going to get more than 90% of beverage containers returned out of the environment. From the litter, from the landfills, from the incinerators, diverted to be used. More than 3 billion fewer wasted containers per year. And that's because we have a high deposit. You can see in this bar chart on the right, the higher the deposit in these other states, the higher the redemption rate. We're going to see a huge reduction in litter and improved water quality, increased availability of high quality food grade materials, increased investment in refillable beverage containers from that special grant fund. Local governments are going to save a lot of money because they're not going to have to collect and dispose of or even recycle the beverage containers. And then there'll be a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and energy use because we'll be able to manufacture new containers with some of this material instead of using virgin materials. That's all I have on the details, Chris. Can you tell us more about the impact on litter?
Yes, I'd be happy to, Martha. And thanks for that. That was a terrific primer on how the system's going to work. So let me set the scene for all of you. Every year, hundreds of millions of beverage containers end up loose in the environment. Anyone who's walked along an urban stream in Maryland after heavy rain has seen thousands of beverage containers, particularly plastic bottles, floating in the water and clinging to the shoreline. Of all the trash that the Anacostia Watershed Society, my organization, catches in our trash traps, which we use to compile trash data, over half of that trash by weight are plastic bottles. That's a heck of a lot of bottles ending up in our rivers and streams. And this is happening all over the state. And it's important to emphasize that this is not just litter. This is pollution. It impairs the healthy use and enjoyment of our open spaces, fouls wildlife habitat, and it impairs water quality. This is a serious problem in Maryland, where trash pollution is so intense that we in Maryland have the dubious honor of being the home to two of the three streams in the United States, two of the water bodies in the United States that are regulated for trash under the Federal Clean Water Act. So in Maryland, this trash it's a significant pollution issue. If the bottle bill that Martha described, if this bottle bill that is being championed by Delegate Terrasa and Delegate Adelson and Senator Brooks, if this becomes law and is effectively implemented, and the proposed 90% recycling rate is reached, which is realistic because it does happen in other systems in other states, then that's about 2 billion plastic bottles kept out of the environment every year because of this system, kept out of our incinerators, kept out of our landfills, kept out of our rivers and parks and public spaces. And that would be a game changer for the environment in our state. Now, to get into a little more detail about this, to tell us a little more about the impact of the bill on reducing pollution, I want to turn it over to our colleague, Maggie Ostall from the National Aquarium. And I'd like to welcome her to our virtual rally stage.
Thank you so much. It's really lovely to be here and to be part of this great, huge group. I'm excited. As Chris said, you know, there's a litter issue. The litter from beverage containers in Maryland contributes to a global plastic pollution situation. We know that we're probably aware of the scale of the problem. Hopefully everyone's aware of the fact that there's a real plastic pollution problem, not just here in Maryland, but around the world. The trends are similar. Most of the plastic, as you can see in the upper left diagram image, upper left image, most of the plastic that is produced is either landfilled or incinerated or ends up in the environment. In Maryland, we know that works out to about 2 billion littered plastic containers and other containers of other material. It's not just those containers that pollute. The entire plastic life cycle contributes to a significant and increasing greenhouse gas emissions. So another form of pollution throughout the entire plastic production and disposal life cycle. You can see a little bit from the lower left image. And I know that there's some other speakers that are going to touch a little bit more on that. Next slide, please. So in short, to address the plastic pollution globally and nationally here in Maryland, we need more solutions like this legislation that will help to turn down the tap of new plastic production. We've got to turn down the tap. So I want to personally and you know offer my thanks and our thanks to Delegates Terrasa and Edelson and to Senator Brooks for the leadership on this issue. It's great to be in the company of so many experts, dedicated advocates.
You know, one of the biggest collectors of trash who has a great following is Mr. Trash Wheel in the Baltimore area and his family in the tributaries of Baltimore Harbor. Here to sing the praises of Mr. Trash Wheel is Adam Lindquist. There's a drum roll here, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. Of the Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. Feel free to sing along. Adam, take it away.
thank you so much for the terrific introduction, Martha. I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me. And I'm really excited to have over 150 people on this call tonight. I know some of them are Trash Wheel fans, maybe even members of Mr. Trash Wheel's secret society. But for those of you who don't know, Mr. Trash Wheel is a sustainably powered trash interceptor that has been picking up trash in the Baltimore Harbor for over 10 years now. This is his 10th year collecting trash in the Baltimore Harbor. And one of the things that we notice is we share all the data, we collect all the data for the trash that's picked up by Mr. Trash Wheel. And we know that we picked up over 1.8 million plastic bottles from the Baltimore Harbor. And we really want to put Mr. Trash Wheel on a diet. And it's legislation like this that will help us do that. In fact, when styrofoam takeout containers were banned in the state of Maryland, we were able to see that reflected in Trash Wheel data, a 90% reduction in the amount of foam containers ending up in the Baltimore Harbor. That's huge. That's game-changing for Baltimore Harbor and for the Chesapeake Bay. So we are so excited to be supporting this legislation. And I am also excited to have been asked to sing a little song, with Valentine's Day coming up. I thought it'd be nice to sing a love song. And, I thought I'd like to sing like a song about true love, about pure love, about clean love. But when I thought about this is probably a song about the dirtiest kind of love. This is a song about a man who loves a trash interceptor. And it was written by Jonathan Jensen from the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. And I'm excited to be able to perform it for you guys tonight. If you know it at home, please sing along. Well, when the rain it starts pouring down the Jones Falls waterway, there was tons of trash that would splish and splash all the way to the Chesapeake Bay, till a super smart inventor made a nifty new machine. Now the floating trash disappears in a flash and the water stays clear and clean. Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, he's the hero of the harbor. Every plastic bag and bottle, every Starbucks latte cup goes a floating south to a big wide mouth where the trash wheel swallows them up. He's collected logs and tires, even snagged an old guitar. But a python snake really takes the cake for the strangest find by far. Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, he's the hero of the harbor. Now they built him a companion in a slightly smaller size, looking cute and chic down at Harris Creek with her long-lashed googly eyes. And with Gwenda and the captain, they work wonders for the bay, sucking up the yachts and the cigarette butts up to 25 tons a day. Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, Mr. Trash Wheel, he's the hero of the harbor. Mr. Trash Wheel and Captain Trash Wheel and Professor Trash Wheel, they're the heroes of the harbor in Baltimore. Thank you guys so much for having me here as part of your rally and to represent Waterfront Partnership and the great work that we are doing to help restore, beautify, and activate Baltimore's waterfront. If you haven't been down to the Baltimore waterfront recently, please come give us a visit. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how alive, active, and fun the Baltimore waterfront is. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Spice, for that vote of confidence. And thank you, Adam, for a great song. That was absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We have some trash skimmers on the Anacostia River too, but they have no personality. They have no googly eyes. They have no friends. It's we need to step up our game here on the Anacostia as far as our trash skimmers are concerned. So thank you, Adam. Congratulations. That was fantastic. So that's a tough act to follow, but a couple of our next speakers are going to try. One of the big benefits of the bottle bill is that it provides high quality, clean, food grade materials that can be made into new containers. And here to talk about these benefits are Delphine Coker, a VP of Public Affairs and Communications at Constellium, which is an aluminum company, and Scott DeFife, President of the Glass Packaging Institute. So please take it away, Delphine and Scott.
Sure. It's kind of hard to take it away after a song, but you don't want to hear me sing. And already you may have a tough time understanding me with my French accent. Because I am a Maryland resident, believe it or not, but I'm still very, very French. And as my kids say, I still don't know how to speak English. But I'm here to talk about aluminum and aluminum recycling and why we absolutely need a deposit bill. I'm not going to go into why we need it from a sustainability point of view. I think you've heard it many, many times. And as an individual and a citizen, I also believe in it. But as a company, this is also what we need. So my company is making aluminum. You can find aluminum on cars, on planes, on space, but mostly you see aluminum on cans. And those cans today, they have on average 70% of recycled content. This means that if you actually take a can and recycle it, 70% of that can is going to become another can. And if we were to recycle more, 100% would come back as a can, which is the ultimate goal. It's better for the environment. It's better for our business. It's better for the community. We've made it like a quick calculation, but if you were to reach 90% rate of recycling of cans in Maryland, which would happen with the deposit, we've seen that with other states, then this would generate $20 million of additional revenue for the state just through the deposit. So it's a lot of money. It works for the state. For us, that's how we make our cans. That's how we want to make our cans. Currently, because we don't have enough cans, we have to actually buy used cans from Mexico or from China and import them to the US to recycle them and make new cans. We don't want that. So please support deposit and recycle your cans.
Thanks, Delphine. And I'm Scott DeFife. I'm the president of the Glass Packaging Institute. I brought one of my favorite props, which is a nice bottle of wine right here in good glass. And also, since I've had to do a lot of these presentations around the country, I decided to just make one of my key slides my background, right? So hopefully behind me on this side, if I'm pointing in the right direction, I'll move the wine bottle. This is bottle bill quality glass. You can look at this picture and see glass bottles. This, on this side, I think for most of us looks like trash. But in the waste management system, this is what glass looks like in the commingled curbside system. This is glass that I took a picture of with my own camera in Maryland 2 years ago at a glass processing facility that was put into Baltimore to clean up the glass from Baltimore County, Baltimore City, MRF and landfill before it gets to the landfill and MRF. And this is what largely happens to a lot of the glass that's in the curbside system. This glass becomes these bottles. This glass has a hard time, right? And takes a lot more to clean up. And so this is really drives home for us, which is one of the key issues, is quality. Quality, yield, the more of it that we can get back that's cleaner, the more likely it is to get back into a new bottle. I saw a question in the Q&A that asked about end markets and things of that nature. All of the bottle bill glass that could be recovered in Maryland from this bill could become a new bottle again, whether that's made in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Virginia. We don't have any bottle plants in Maryland, but they're very close by. And glass is a regional market. It tends to stay within 100, 150 to 200 miles of where it's collected. But the glass in Maryland can easily reach the end markets in all of our neighboring states. A couple other key points on the benefits of a deposit return, a bottle bill recycling refund system. compared to some of the other ways that glass is recycled include reuse and refill. I know there's a lot of folks that are interested in reuse and refill. I see some questions about refillable bottles the way it used to be with things of that nature. A deposit return system, something that incentivizes people to bring back the bottles whole, is really a key fundamental building block and foundation for having a reuse refill system. It's another benefit of putting a deposit return bottle bill program back into Maryland so that those bottles have an infrastructure so that they can get filled, washed, and then refilled again. We're very supportive of this. We're very thankful that the bill is being introduced again. And we think it fits into the current policy construct in Maryland, which is examining recycling and waste and refill in extended producer responsibility. Deposit return systems are an easy way to implement and integrate in with extended producer responsibility as the larger waste management and recycling systems are reformed. And we think these things work together.
Thank you so much, Scott, and cheers. Enjoy your wine.
Thank you. It's time. It's time for
So,
some.
speaking of alcoholic beverages, bars and restaurants also support this bill, making it easier and less costly to recycle. Eddie O'Keefe is the co-owner and vice president of Peabody Heights Brewery in Baltimore. Eddie, why do you want a bottle bill?
I mean, just to be honest, you know, we're based in Baltimore City. I deal with it firsthand of all the litter that we just kind of see just around the brewery, and we do a collaboration with Mr. Trash Wheel, and you know, it was unfortunately one day, you know, there was actually a trash wheel can that was eaten by Mr. Trash Wheel, and you know, it was kind of it was definitely a little heartbreaking. You know, to be honest, is that all the states that you saw that are already enacting bottle deposit bills have great, you know, bars, restaurants. They, you know, they have incredible breweries in all those states. They're all very much brewery forward. You know, a big part of at least of our business, as you know, we're kind of coming from two sides. We're a producer, but we're also a bar at the same time as well. And so I think that, you know, from two different perspectives is that, like, you know, the pandemic has taught us one thing, that constantly pivoting and evolving your business is super important. And I think that there are things that, you know, us as organizations and as bars and restaurants can also start to realize, that if we are imposing these sort of fines, or not, I mean, these charges, sorry, my apologies, these deposits, is that we can curtail our business to be more draft focused. And so, like, instead of using containers, we're using glassware. We're, you know, if people are serving wine, they'll consider serving it from a keg or on tap. You know, so that there's only one, you know, container, as opposed to you know, a few hundred. Or, you know, working with people to stop using single-use wine bottles to do like actual full-size wine bottles. You know, prevent the, you know, prevent less just overall trash getting out there. You know, as a part of during the pandemic, and obviously Dylan can attest to it, is that aluminum cans became really, really difficult to acquire. And we were acquiring them from Mexico, Korea, Poland, China, just because there's literally 2 or 3 producers that produce aluminum cans in the United States. And the price skyrocketed. Obviously, shipping empty aluminum cans across the ocean is absolutely terrible for the environment. And we believe that, like, if more of these cans were being recycled, would probably drive down the price of aluminum cans. And so, just from the production side, I see a lot of benefit in that as well too. And, you know, obviously our entire business, you know, our largest ingredient is water. We really, really, you know, obviously breweries are not perfect. We do produce we use a lot of water. Unfortunately, we use a lot of chemicals to clean things, and our water bill's really expensive, and the surcharges and all those things are really, really important. And I think that we have, you know, as a responsibility of our organization and our industry is to care about the water we're using.
Thanks very much, Eddie.
Thank you.
It's really good to hear from a local business about thoughts about the bottle bill. Also, local governments, municipal and county level governments are thinking about this bottle legislation as well. Jennifer Albero is the recycling coordinator of Wacomico County on the Eastern Shore. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hello. I don't want to rehash what everybody else has said, but of course, the obvious advantages to a bottle bill is removing roadside trash that's ending up in waterways. And of course, here on the Eastern Shore, the only way to get here is by bridge. So we're full of wetlands, we're full of water, and full of bottles in that water. What's alarming to us, though, is that we're dumping a trash truck amount of plastic waste in the ocean every minute. We're consuming a giraffe-sized amount of microplastics a year while killing entire marine species with the amount of plastic trash dumped in the ocean. We are starting to make some headway in the trash recycling and pollution problem here in our neighborhoods. And we do hold individuals accountable when we can catch them dumping trash. But we also need to hold the industry accountable that's making record profits off of packaging. At what cost? Our county does function as a MRF for failed recycling. It comes in not as a single stream, individually, and it is cleaned by inmates, or all the contaminants are pulled out. We bail it and we send it out for bids. Our prices for bailed recycling has consistently dropped over the last 5 years. It's roughly half of what it used to be. With fuel cost, truck repair, bin cost, and all the other associated costs with doing a recycling program in a county, our profit margin, which was, you're never going to make money in recycling, but it's even worse now. Local leaders here are actually talking about, questioning whether we can continue with recycling some items, particularly plastic, because there's so much information out there about the amount of plastic that's actually getting recycled as opposed to landfilled. We do what we can with what's available, but we need help financially specifically. And this would be a win-win for all parties involved. We need to start making those packaging companies responsible for what they are creating, that we all, as individuals and government agencies, are having to clean up. So anyway, it's only gotten worse with every passing minute. So we need to be the change we wish to see in the world. We have no time to waste. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. That was terrific. Now I'd like to introduce Carlos. There's Carlos. Carlos Sanchez. There he is. He's from a youth leader in the South Baltimore Community Land Trust, right next to the Bresco incinerator. He's going to talk about the bottle bill and environmental justice. Thank you, Carlos, for coming.
Thank you so much, Martha. Hi everyone. Like Martha said, my name is Carlos Sanchez. I'm a youth leader dedicated to organizing community power for environmental justice. I work with fellow residents at the South Baltimore Community Land Trust, where we're working to make development without displacement and zero waste a reality. In 2020, we helped create Baltimore's first zero waste plan, which was also passed by City Council and included the bottle bill as a top priority to help move Baltimore away from landfill incineration. It's 2024 now, and we're still missing this basic step forward. And instead, I live the consequences of Maryland's choice not to pass pro-zero waste bottle bill legislation every single day. I live in South Baltimore and work in Curtis Bay. And Curtis Bay has an overall EJ score of 100% according to MDE's EJ screening tool. The neighborhood is also the 91st percentile for asthma emergency room discharges, 88th percentile for low infant birth rates, and 88th percentile for heart attack discharges. So how will the strong bottle bill informed by environmental justice communities make a difference for me, my family, and my communities? Well, one, it will reduce toxic air pollution from burning plastic as well as greenhouse gas emissions. It will save local government millions of dollars in waste disposal fees that can be invested in more zero waste solutions. And third, it will create jobs. But I want to share how Maryland's failure to pass this piece of legislation, impacts me every day. When I first wake up in the morning in my community of Lakeland, I see the Brestco trash burning material. Just about a mile away, burning tons of plastic bottles that I breathe in. Imagine that. Every breath you take that has toxic chemicals that you aren't even aware of. The air we breathe in EJ community is at stake with Maryland's bottle bill. When I go to work in Curtis Bay, I walk by alleys, vacant homes filled with illegal dumping, mostly plastic and glass bottles. As I connect with fellow community members, hearing their concerns about family with asthma or wanting to feel proud about their community, or just wanting to spend less time cleaning up litter and more time with their families, I see trash trucks on their way to the city landfill, which is also in South Baltimore, and that's where the ashes from burning bottles ends up. This is what living close to a failed waste system that only knows how to burn and bury and dump feels like every day. It's not safe, it's not clean, and it feels terrible. Maryland has a choice. By voting for the bottle bill, we can make a difference in environmental justice communities like my own in South Baltimore. This bill is a part of a systemic approach to our broken waste system. And it won't change my everyday experience overnight. I get that, but it will reduce the number of plastic bottles dumped in my community, reduce the toxic waste that I breathe in and am exposed to in my environment. And for me, it's a good choice for Maryland, our shared health, and our environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. On behalf of everybody on this call, on behalf of everybody at this rally, thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's a really stark reminder that this work that we're doing, this legislation we're trying to pass, is going to have real impact on real people's real lives. And I don't think we should forget that when we move forward. So, Carlos, again, thank you very much. So we're coming to the end, but we're not done. We still have some fun left, and we have a call to action we want to make. Every good meeting of activists, every rally of citizens needs a call to action, and this is ours. I'm going to share a few things with you. Number one, contact your Maryland senator and delegate and tell them that you support HB 735 and SB 642, the Beverage Container Recycling Refund and Litter Reduction Program, and urge them to vote for the bill. In the case of delegates like Delegate Terrasa, say thank you. Let them know that you appreciate the work that they're doing. Sometimes we forget to do that with our elected representatives, and everybody appreciates that. So when you get an opportunity, thank a supporter and urge someone who hasn't signed on to support the bill. Second, talk to your local government officials and urge them to let the state legislature know that they support the bill. It's really important that the state legislature hear from local leaders in the counties and municipalities saying that they want this legislation because it will help them, it will clean up their communities, it will help their communities' bottom lines, it will improve the health and welfare of the citizens of their communities. That will be very powerful if the state legislature hears that. So mobilize your local representatives, your local governments. Talk up the campaign on social media. It's the 21st century. This is how we communicate with each other. So talk to folks, make a TikTok video, put out a tweet or an X or whatever we call it these days. Get on Facebook, get on Instagram, and let folks know what's going on. Let folks know how they can get involved. Eddie has reminded us how really important restaurateurs and breweries and retail outlets are to this effort. That's a really important set of constituencies that the legislature needs to hear from and needs to hear that they support this bill because it will be, again, good for their bottom lines and good for their businesses. So ask your local merchant, ask your local bar owner, ask your local brewery owner, ask your local retailer. Do you know about this bottle bill legislation? If not, you should, and you should support it. and give them a little education on it. We'll have some resources available that you can use for that when you need it. Another idea, write a letter to the editor, write a letter to your local paper, it's not all about the Baltimore Sun and the Washington Post and WTOP. There's a lot of local press, county level, municipal press in Maryland. Let those folks know that you care about this. Write a letter to them. Get them to be editorializing about it. Let the media know that this is out there and this is important to all of you and all of us. And I already said spread the word on social media. So these are all just a few ideas that you all can use, that every one of you on this, all 155 of us at this rally, this is actions we can take to push this bill and get it over the finish line. There's a lot of energy behind this legislation. It's a going concern. These things have come up in the past and they haven't crossed the finish line. Let's work to make sure this one does. So, let's do what we can do. We have it. The Maryland legislature is such that it's always a sprint, not a marathon. So we're sprinting for the next few months to try to get this bottle bill legislation passed, which will be so good for the communities, the cities, the towns, the rivers, the streams of Maryland. So thanks, everybody. So what we want to do now that we've got you all ginned up, and I hope that all 155 of you out there in Zoom land are properly ginned up about this and excited about this legislation. And there's no better way to wind this up than to have the great Deborah Spice Kleinman, chair of the Greater Baltimore Sierra Club group, sing us out with a song about trash. So we're going to hear Spice's song about trash, and then stick around because we're going to open up the Zoom call. We're gonna make everybody a panelist, which means basically everybody will come pouring in to the call. All of your pictures will appear on the screen, and we're gonna start taking some pictures so we can get pictures. So everybody get on. When you're on camera, do something, cheer, make a funny face, do a fist bump, something to let people know you're enthusiastic about the Maryland bottle bill. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Spice, who is going to regale us. So Spice, give it to us.
Yay. Hi, everyone. I am the chair of the Greater Baltimore Group, and I'm so glad to be here. And when I say Maryland Bottle, you say Bill. Maryland Bottle.
Bill.
Maryland Bottle. Bill. Maryland Bottle.
Bill.
Woo! This is a song written by some wonderful folk singers. I'm not sure who wrote it anymore because it's been around for at least 20 years. We've changed some of the words to fit for today. And it goes like this. It really isn't garbage till you mix it all together. Really isn't litter till you throw it away. Separate your paper, plastic, compost, glass, and metal. Then you get to use it all another day. There's litter on the beaches, litter in the ocean, litter on the roadside and the backyard too. Sometimes it seems to me that we're burying our future. The bottles in the river give me the litter blues. Everybody, it really isn't garbage till you mix it all together. Really isn't litter till you throw it away. Separate your paper, plastic, compost, glass, and metal. Then you get to use it all another day. Don't throw bottles out the window, they'll float into the rivers. Hurts the fish and beaches when you get it in the sea. Take time to just reuse, it's one solution to pollution. Don't count on someone else, it's up to you and me. It really isn't garbage till you mix it all together. Really isn't litter till you throw it away. Separate your paper, plastic, compost, glass, and metal. Then you get to use it all another day. Now there's some folks who say, well, we really ought to burn it. It's so convenient, creates jobs and electricity. But if we're gonna burn them, then you know we're gonna breathe them. Excuse me. And what to do with what is left, there's no guarantee. Come on, everybody, sing it now. It really isn't garbage till you mix it all together. Really isn't litter till you throw it away. Separate your paper, plastic, compost, glass, and metal. Oh, then you get to use it all another
Nice. Let's everybody give ourselves a big hand. Everybody turn your cameras on. We're taking some pictures. We're going to take a few screenshots, get as many folks on as we can. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting this important legislation. Take action. Do what you can do. Let's push this across the finish line in 2024.
Yes.
Folks, we have a hearing on the 28th of February. We have 3 weeks to mobilize people, so let's go for it. Okay, someone says it's great to see evidence-based proposals to reduce litter and incentivize consumers to recycle. Curious what policies are being considered to reduce bottle-based waste from businesses. Are they also eligible for a recycling incentive? Well, let me just say this, that one of the reasons why we fall short in terms of recycling is also because people, they use 30% of the bottles when they're away from home, so that they don't have a curbside bin. So it's very important that we make sure that the restaurants and hotels, bars, casinos, and so forth, stadiums, actually are willing and able to collect those containers and get them back. So that's why there's an incentive built into the system. Joanne Zoller says, so the bottles, which can be refunded for 10 cents a piece, each of those cost the consumer 10 cents per bottle. Yes, so you get 100% of your deposit back. If your deposit was 10 cents on a bottle, you'll get 10 cents back for sure. The history of similar attempts. So why has it taken so many decades? You know, it's been quite a while since the last bottle bill was passed in the US. It was in Hawaii. I want to say circa 2003, 2004. But they're actually taking off all over the world right now, especially in Europe, because they have a single-use plastic directive there, and they all have to be able to get about 90% of the plastic bottles back. I can't remember what date it's something like 20, I want to say 2030, but don't quote me on that. And so there's huge movement there. Nearly all the European countries will have bottle bills in the next couple of years. And why here? Well, the beverage industry doesn't generally want to pay for the for the programs. This is a bottle bills, your original extended producer responsibility program, and of course, they don't particularly want to be involved in it. So it's been a big struggle, and I expect that if this bill is on a good track, we're going to get a lot more advertisements on TV and radio about how they're going to get every bottle back because the bottles are 100% recyclable. But remember, you cannot recycle something you cannot collect. And with a deposit, you can collect it. So no matter how recyclable a bottle is, if you can't get it, you can't really recycle it. That's my word of the day. Anyway, so those companies have been very powerful in preventing these bottle bills from being passed. But what's happened is that there's widespread concern about plastic pollution now. I think that we have a lot of momentum because of the plastic issue on all the different kinds of beverage containers. And we need to run with this immediately. And it's because of the health of people and the whole planet that we need to get these back, and we need to get to reusables. And a deposit is the gateway to getting reusables out there in the longer run.
You'll be hearing from us, over the next few months as things move along, as we need folks to take action. In addition, there will be, any of our organizational websites at Anacostia Watershed Society or Sierra Club or the Waterfront Partnership or any of these folks are going to have a page on their website that has a fact sheet and some information, including most of the information you've seen on the slides tonight. So we're going to make sure that all that information is available for people who need it. You can also, most of us have an information email box, like ours is info@anacostiaws.org. If you just want to write us and ask us a question or get some information. So there are many avenues through which you can get the information and resources you need to be an activist on this issue.
Mary Jo Stein has asked what challenges or roadblocks need to be addressed in order for the bill to go forward. It is really important that they hear from counties and municipalities. Really, really important. And Delegate Terrassa was saying also the county executives. Last year, we had the support of the mayor of Baltimore, which was great. And I hope we can get some of these people to the hearing to testify in person. We also had support from several county council members in Montgomery County and the mayor of Salisbury. But the local governments will save money. They may be thinking about their aluminum revenue if they have a recycling facility, but they're going to save so much on disposal costs and litter collection costs that it will outweigh any kind of loss of revenue from some of the materials at the recycling facility. Remember that those recycling facilities were built to divert stuff from the landfill. And if we have 3/4 of the beverage containers in the landfill and incinerators, we haven't diverted very much under the existing system. So it's very important to get them to support it and to come and testify.
And Nancy asked, has the Association of Counties supported the bottle bill?
Last year, they didn't have a position. I believe I have an appointment with them Monday. So we'll see. We are trying to reach out to the individual counties so that when MACO discusses it, they have, some counties that are going to argue in favor of the bill. The Maryland Municipal League last year opposed this bill, and we've already had a discussion with them. We don't know if they're going to change their view or not. But if you live in a municipality, get your mayors, your Department of Public Works, and your council members to support the bill and tell the legislators that they want it. So that's very important.
It was amazing. Really well done. Really appreciated it. And looking forward to next steps and getting out some call to actions.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to everybody for coming. It's amazing that it's 8:15. We're 15 minutes late. We still have 84 people on. We will see you soon. Go Bottle Bill.
Thank you.